Tomas stepped off the small shuttle and onto the cold metal floor of Arden Prime Space Station. The station was huge, floating quietly in the blackness of space. Lights blinked softly along the walls, and the hum of machinery filled the air. Tomas felt a mix of excitement and nervousness inside him. This was not just any station, it was one of the most secure places in the galaxy. Only the best worked here. He carried a small bag with tools, ready to fix the problems the station's engineers had called about. Tomas was an ordinary engineer, not a soldier or a commander, but he had a job to do. He hoped everything would go smoothly. As Tomas walked down the long corridor, he noticed something that caught his eye. Near the main entrance, a group of guards stood at attention. Their armor gleamed under the lights, and their faces were serious. At the center of them was a woman. She was tall, with short dark hair, and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. She spoke quietly but with strength, and the guards listened carefully to her every word. Tomas stopped for a moment, watching. The woman's voice was calm but firm, like a quiet storm. She commanded respect without shouting or anger. Tomas had never seen anyone like her before. He learned later that she was Captain Myra, the leader of the station's security forces. Many said she was tough and never smiled. Tomas wondered what made her so serious. Tomas moved forward, trying not to stare. He kept his head down and showed his identification to the nearest guard. The guard checked the card, nodded, and opened the gate. "Welcome to Arden Prime," the guard said. "Thank you," Tomas replied, stepping inside. He walked through the station, looking at the metal walls and the blinking panels. Everywhere he looked, there were signs of life and activity. Engineers moved quickly from one place to another, carrying tools or checking screens. Soldiers trained in the distance, practicing drills. Tomas felt a little proud to be part of this. After a few minutes, Tomas reached the engineering bay where he was supposed to work. The room was full of machines, wires, and flashing lights. Tomas set down his bag and pulled out his tools. He checked the computer panel that was causing problems and started to work. As he worked, he could still hear the soft voices and footsteps outside. He thought about Captain Myra and how she controlled all these guards and soldiers with such calm power. Tomas was curious but also careful not to get involved. He just wanted to finish his job. Suddenly, the door to the engineering bay opened, and a guard entered. "Captain Myra wants to see you," the guard said simply. Tomas was surprised. "Me? Why?" The guard shrugged. "You're to meet her at the main hall. She wants to speak with you." Tomas didn't have a choice. He put down his tools and followed the guard through the maze of corridors. When they reached the main hall, the large room was filled with guards and officers. At the front stood Captain Myra. She looked directly at Tomas as he entered. "You are Tomas," she said, her voice steady. "Yes, Captain," Tomas replied, standing straight. Captain Myra stepped closer. Her eyes studied him for a moment, then she said, "I've heard you are good at your work. We need people we can trust here." Tomas nodded. "I will do my best." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Tomas felt the weight of her gaze. It was like she was looking deep inside him, trying to see if he was honest and strong. Then, Tomas did something he did not expect. He said quietly, "You look wonderful today." The room seemed to freeze. Captain Myra's eyes widened for a second, and her breath caught. The guards around her stopped what they were doing and looked surprised. Tomas wished he could take the words back. But then, something changed in Myra's face. A small, almost invisible smile appeared. For the first time, Tomas saw a flicker of softness in her eyes. Captain Myra nodded slowly. "Thank you, Tomas. That is, unexpected." Tomas felt a little braver. "I meant it. You are very strong." The captain looked around at the guards and officers who had gathered. Then she turned back to Tomas. "Very well. You may continue your work. But remember, this station depends on all of us. Stay alert. Yes, Captain, Tomas said. As he walked back to the engineering bay, Tomas felt something different. He realized that even the strongest people needed kindness and respect. Captain Myra was not just a leader, she was human, just like him. The station hummed quietly, but Tomas knew that something had begun to change on Arden Prime. A simple phrase had opened a small door, and he wondered what would come next. After Tomas returned to the engineering bay, he found it hard to concentrate. His mind kept drifting back to Captain Myra's sudden reaction. No one had ever seen her smile, even a little bit. The whole station seemed colder, more serious, but that moment was different, almost like a crack in the wall she built around herself. Tomas shook his head and turned back to the blinking lights of the control panel. The machines still needed fixing, and that was his job. The next morning, Tomas started his work early. The hum of Arden Prime's systems was steady, but outside the large windows, the vastness of space reminded him how small and fragile the station really was. Suddenly, an alarm beeped softly on Tomas's screen. A minor malfunction in the power grid. Tomas grabbed his toolkit and hurried toward the power control room. As he walked through the corridors, Tomas passed by Captain Myra again. She was commanding the guards near the entrance, her voice clear and strong. Tomas slowed down to watch. "Guard 5, report your status," Myra said. "Secure and ready, Captain," the guard replied. Myra nodded. "Stay alert. We cannot afford mistakes." Her voice was firm but calm. Tomas noticed how the guards straightened up as she spoke, clearly respecting her. He cleared his throat softly, and Myra turned to look at him. For a moment, she seemed surprised. Tomas felt a bit nervous but decided to speak. "Captain Myra, about yesterday. I didn't mean to surprise you. I just wanted to say something nice." Myra looked at him carefully. "It was unexpected, yes. But not unwelcome." Tomas smiled. "Sometimes, even the strongest need a little kindness." Myra paused. Then, for the second time, she smiled a small, genuine smile. It was brief but enough to make Tomas's heart beat faster. Before he could say anything else, a guard approached quickly. "Captain, we have an incoming message from command. They request a status report on station security." Myra's smile faded. She turned serious again. "Thank you. I will handle it." The guards snapped to attention, and Tomas felt the weight of the station's duty settle over them all again. Tomas continued to the power control room and began his repairs. But he found himself thinking about Myra, the way she controlled the station, and how that one small smile made her seem human. Later, during his break, Tomas wandered near the main hall again. He saw Myra sitting alone on a bench, her back straight but her expression softer than before. He decided to approach her. "Captain," Tomas said quietly. Myra looked up. "Yes, Tomas. I just wanted to say, thank you for trusting me yesterday." Myra studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Trust is earned, Tomas. You are proving yourself." They sat in silence for a while, watching the guards patrol the hall. Tomas realized this was the first time he had spoken with Myra like a person, not just a commander. Suddenly, the station's communication panel beeped loudly. A new message from command arrived. Myra stood up quickly and gestured for Tomas to follow. In the command center, officers gathered around a large screen showing a distant part of space. The image showed a small, unidentified ship moving toward Arden Prime. Captain Myra studied the screen carefully. "This ship has not responded to our signals. We need to prepare." Tomas felt a sudden tension in the room. The station was strong, but unknown ships could be dangerous. Myra turned to her team. "Send a team to intercept and investigate. Stay ready for anything." The officers nodded and moved to their tasks. Tomas looked at Myra again. She was back to her commanding self, but Tomas thought he saw a flicker of worry behind her eyes. That evening, Tomas returned to his quarters, his mind busy with thoughts. He realized that Captain Myra carried more than just the weight of her command. She carried the safety of everyone on Arden Prime, and maybe that was why she was so serious. The next day, Tomas continued his work on the station. He repaired broken circuits, checked energy flows, and made sure the station ran smoothly. But every time he passed the main hall, he looked for Myra's face, hoping to catch another smile. One afternoon, as Tomas worked near the outer windows, he noticed a small group of guards approaching the docking bay. Captain Myra was with them, inspecting the area where the mysterious ship was supposed to arrive. Tomas watched as Myra spoke quietly with the guards. Her voice was steady, but Tomas saw her eyes scan the horizon carefully. Then, unexpectedly, one of the guards looked toward Tomas and nodded in greeting. Myra caught Tomas's eye and gave a small nod too. For Tomas, it was a sign the captain, so distant before, was starting to recognize him as part of the station's life. Later that evening, Tomas stood by the window and looked at the stars. The unknown ship was closer now, and the station was ready. But Tomas thought about something else, how a simple phrase had broken the ice between him and the captain. He smiled quietly. Maybe this was the beginning of something new on Arden Prime, a place where strength met kindness, and where even the coldest walls could warm. Days passed quietly on Arden Prime, but Tomas could feel something shifting in the air. The mysterious ship was still nearby, orbiting just outside the station's radar. No messages had come from it, and the station remained on high alert. Tomas worked on his repairs, but his thoughts often drifted to Captain Myra. The more he watched her, the more he realized there was something different about her, something behind the strong and serious commander. One afternoon, Tomas found himself near the training hall. Soldiers practiced drills under Myra's watchful eyes. She moved among them with ease, correcting a stance here, giving a quiet word there. The soldiers responded to her respect and clear orders, not fear. Tomas noticed how focused Myra was, how carefully she listened when the soldiers spoke. This was not just a leader who gave orders, she cared deeply about the people she led. Curious, Tomas decided to talk to one of the soldiers during a break. The young man's name was Rian, and he had been on Arden Prime for a few months. Tomas, Rian greeted him with a friendly nod. You seem interested in Captain Myra. Tomas smiled. Yes. She's different from what I expected. I want to understand her better. Rian laughed softly. You're not the first. Captain Myra has a reputation for being strict and serious. But those who know her well say she carries a secret. A secret? Tomas asked, leaning in. Rian nodded. Before she came here, Myra was a pilot in the fleet. She lost her squadron in a battle years ago. Many thought she would give up, but she didn't. She came here to protect others so no one would have to lose what she lost. Tomas felt a chill. It made sense why Myra was so careful and serious. Her strength was built on pain and responsibility. That explains a lot, Tomas said quietly. Rian smiled. Yes, but don't expect her to talk about it. She keeps those memories close. It's her way of staying strong. As Tomas thanked Rian and walked away, he thought about how much people carry inside them without showing it. Later, Tomas returned to the engineering bay, but his work was interrupted by a call from security. He was needed at the command center. When he arrived, Myra was already there, studying the latest reports. The mysterious ship was still out there, moving slowly but steadily toward the station. We cannot ignore this, Myra said, her voice calm but firm. We will send another team to try and communicate. Tomas, your technical skills may be needed to help decode any signals. Tomas nodded. I'm ready. That night, Tomas joined the communication team. Screens and devices filled the room, and Tomas worked quickly, adjusting settings and analyzing signals. Suddenly, a faint signal came through a series of patterns and sounds that didn't make sense at first. "Captain Myra, we have something," Tomas said. Myra leaned over his shoulder, eyes sharp. "Can you decode it?" Tomas worked carefully, and slowly the strange signals began to form words, a message in an unknown language, but with clear intent. "It's a greeting," Tomas said excitedly. "They want to talk." Myra's face softened, but her voice stayed steady. "Prepare a response. Let's show them we come in peace." Tomas felt hope rising. Maybe this mystery ship was not a threat after all. The next day, Tomas watched as the station prepared for the first meeting. Guards lined the docking bay, ready to protect but also to welcome. Myra stood at the front, her posture perfect. Tomas saw the weight of command on her shoulders, but also a new determination. As the alien ship docked, Tomas felt a thrill. This was the moment when fear and uncertainty met courage and hope. When the hatch opened, Tomas saw beings unlike any he had imagined, tall, graceful, with bright eyes full of curiosity. Myra stepped forward, offering a hand of friendship. The aliens smiled and returned the gesture. Tomas realized that sometimes, strength came not from weapons or walls, but from the courage to reach out and understand. As the first talks began, Tomas looked at Myra and thought about how far she had come from the pain of loss to the hope of peace. Arden Prime was no longer just a station of guards and machines. It was a place where new stories could begin. And Tomas knew he wanted to be part of that story. The alien visitors had settled on Arden Prime, and the station buzzed with quiet activity. Tomas found himself working alongside the communication team, helping to translate messages and set up peaceful exchanges. Though the aliens seemed calm and curious, the tension on the station had not fully eased. No one knew what might happen next. Captain Myra remained at the center of it all, guiding her guards and officers with careful precision. But Tomas noticed something different about her lately. She seemed more tired, her sharp eyes sometimes looking distant. The weight of command was heavy, and it showed. One evening, after a long day, Tomas was called to assist with a power surge in the lower levels of the station. As he worked through the dark corridors, he heard footsteps behind him. "Need some help?" a voice asked quietly. Tomas turned to see Captain Myra standing there. She had left her uniform jacket behind, revealing a simple shirt underneath. For a moment, Tomas hardly recognized her. She looked less like a commander and more like a person just tired from a long day. "I thought you might want company," Myra said softly. Tomas nodded. "I wasn't expecting you to come down here." Myra smiled faintly. "Sometimes, I need to see things for myself. It helps me stay connected to the station and the people." They worked side by side, fixing the faulty power lines. The silence between them was comfortable, and Tomas felt like he was seeing a side of Myra few others had. After a few minutes, Myra spoke quietly. "You know, Tomas, being a leader isn't just about giving orders." Tomas looked at her. "What is it about then?" Myra sighed. "It's about carrying the fears and hopes of everyone around you. Sometimes, it's lonely. You can't show weakness, or people start to doubt you." Tomas nodded slowly. "That must be hard." "It is," Myra admitted. "I've been strong for so long, but sometimes I wonder if I'm enough. If I can protect everyone, or if I'm just delaying the inevitable." Tomas looked at her with respect. "You're doing more than anyone else could. That counts." Myra's eyes softened. "Thank you, Tomas. It means a lot to hear that." They finished the repairs and walked back toward the station's main levels. The soft hum of machines surrounded them, but the quiet between them felt important. As they reached a brighter hallway, Myra stopped and looked at Tomas. "You surprised me the first time you said I looked wonderful. No one says that to me." Tomas smiled. "I meant it. You are wonderful, strong and kind." For a moment, Myra seemed to relax, the usual armor of command lifting just a little. Maybe there's more to being a leader than I thought. Tomas nodded. There is. It's about being human. They parted ways at the station's central hub. Tomas felt a new sense of connection to Myra, not just as a captain, but as a person. The next morning, the aliens requested a meeting with the station's leadership. Tomas watched as Captain Myra prepared, her usual calm returning but with a new quiet confidence. During the meeting, the alien leader spoke carefully, explaining their peaceful intentions and desire to learn about Arden Prime's people and technology. Myra listened closely and asked thoughtful questions. Tomas saw how well she balanced strength with understanding. After the meeting, Tomas helped set up a small gathering where station residents and aliens could meet and share stories. The room filled with laughter and conversation, a rare moment of warmth in the cold metal station. Tomas saw Myra standing quietly near the edge, watching the people around her. He walked over and offered her a cup of warm drink. She took it and smiled. "Thank you, Tomas, for reminding me that we all need kindness." Tomas nodded. "We do. And sometimes, it's the kindness that makes us strongest." That night, Tomas looked out at the stars again, feeling hopeful. The station was no longer just a place of duty and defense. It was becoming a home, a place where strength and heart could grow together. And Captain Myra, the strong and serious leader, was beginning to show the world her true self. Life on Arden Prime had found a new rhythm. The alien visitors and the station's residents were learning from each other. Tomas felt hopeful that peace would continue. Yet, beneath the calm, a new challenge was quietly growing. One morning, as Tomas was working in the communications room, the station's alarm suddenly beeped. A sharp voice echoed through the loudspeakers. "Attention all personnel, unidentified vessel detected approaching the station. Prepare for possible emergency protocols." Tomas's heart quickened. He looked up at the large screen showing a small ship moving fast toward Arden Prime. It wasn't the peaceful alien ship anymore, this was something new and unknown. He grabbed his tools and hurried to the command center. Captain Myra was already there, standing tall and focused. Her eyes scanned the data quickly, but Tomas noticed a shadow of concern cross her face. "Status report," Myra said calmly. "Unknown vessel is closing fast," an officer replied. "No communication received. No visible weapons detected yet." Myra nodded. "Ready the guards. Prepare to defend the station if necessary." Tomas watched as the team moved efficiently. The station that once seemed calm was now buzzing with tension. Myra turned to Tomas. "We may need your help to keep our systems running smoothly during this." Tomas nodded. "I'm ready, Captain." As the ship drew nearer, the guards prepared at the docking bay. Tomas helped check the power systems to make sure everything stayed online. Despite the fear, Tomas felt calm inside. He had learned that strength wasn't just in muscles or weapons, it was in staying steady when others felt uncertain. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the ship came close enough to dock. The doors opened slowly, and Tomas held his breath. A group of beings stepped out. They were unlike the peaceful visitors before. Their armor was sharp, their movements quick and alert. Captain Myra stepped forward immediately. "State your purpose." The lead alien spoke in clear words, though his voice was firm and serious. "We seek passage through this sector. We mean no harm unless provoked." Myra studied him carefully. "You are welcome here only if you respect our laws. Any sign of aggression, and we will respond." The alien nodded slowly. "Understood." Though the tension remained, Myra's calm control helped keep the situation from escalating. Over the next few days, the new visitors stayed on Arden Prime. Tomas helped monitor the station's systems, making sure everything was secure. One evening, Tomas found Myra alone in the command center, staring at the stars through the large windows. He approached quietly. "Captain, how do you stay so calm with so much happening?" Myra turned to him. Experience. But also, knowing I am not alone. Everyone here carries a part of the station's strength. Tomas smiled. You carry a big part of it, too. Myra nodded. Sometimes, it feels heavy. But kindness like the words you said before helps lighten the load. Tomas remembered his simple phrase, "You look wonderful today," and how it had changed their first meeting. It was more than words. It was a bridge between people. Suddenly, an alarm sounded again. The new visitor's ship had sent a signal, a warning. Myra's eyes narrowed. Prepare for a possible attack. Stay alert. Tomas felt his heart pound. The peace they had built was fragile. But he trusted Myra's leadership and the station's strength. The station's guards took their positions, ready but calm. Tomas worked behind the scenes, making sure the power and communications systems held strong. As the moments passed, the tension grew. But the feared attack never came. Instead, the new visitors requested a meeting with Myra. In the conference room, Myra listened as the alien leader explained that their warning was a message to others assigned to keep peace, not start a war. Myra's face relaxed a little. We understand. We will watch closely. The visitors agreed, and the meeting ended peacefully. Tomas left the room feeling relief wash over him. The threat was still there, but the station was ready. That night, Tomas and Myra met again in the quiet hallway. You handled that well, Tomas said. Myra smiled softly. Thank you. But I couldn't have done it without everyone's support, including yours. Tomas felt proud. We all have a role. Together, we are stronger. Myra looked out the window at the stars. Yes. Together. As they stood there, Tomas knew that no matter what challenges came next, Arden Prime and its people would face them united, strong, and with hope. The days following the warning signal were tense but peaceful. The new visitors stayed on Arden Prime under close watch. The station's guards remained alert, and Tomas continued his work, ensuring all systems were stable. Despite the tension, Tomas noticed a change in Captain Myra. She was no longer just the strict commander who kept everyone in line. She seemed more thoughtful, often pausing to listen carefully to her officers and even sharing small moments of quiet with Tomas. One morning, Tomas was fixing a power panel near the docking bay when Myra approached. Tomas, she said, her voice calm but serious, I want you to be part of a special team. We need people who can think clearly under pressure. Tomas felt a mix of pride and nervousness. I'm ready, Captain. We will face challenges ahead, Myra continued, and we need to trust each other to keep the station safe. Tomas nodded. I won't let you down. The new team included officers from different parts of the station, guards, engineers, and communication experts like Tomas. Myra led the team with quiet confidence. That afternoon, the team gathered in the command center to review the latest data from the visitors' ship. The new visitors had offered to share some of their technology, including a device that could strengthen the station's shields. Myra looked at the device carefully. This could be very helpful. But we must be cautious. We don't fully understand it yet. Tomas watched as Myra balanced hope with careful judgment. She was willing to accept help but refused to take risks with her people's safety. The team worked together, studying the device and testing it in controlled environments. Tomas helped run diagnostics and monitor energy flows. One evening, as the team took a break, Tomas noticed Myra sitting alone by the window, staring at the stars. He sat beside her quietly. Do you ever doubt yourself? Tomas asked softly. Myra looked at him with surprise. Sometimes. But doubt can be useful. It makes me think harder, plan better. Tomas smiled. I've learned that from you. Myra's eyes softened. Thank you, Tomas. It means a lot. Suddenly, an alert sounded. A small ship was approaching the station this time, without warning. Myra stood quickly. Team, prepare for possible emergency. The new visitor's ship sent a message through the station's communication channels. It was urgent, a warning about a danger coming from deep space, heading toward Arden Prime. Myra turned to her team. We need to act fast. Let's analyze the threat and prepare our defenses. Tomas worked alongside the communication experts, decoding the message. The danger is a storm of energy particles, Tomas reported. It could damage the station's systems if it reaches us. Myra nodded. Can the new device help protect us? Tomas checked the data. Yes. If we use it correctly, it can strengthen the shields against the storm. Myra smiled briefly. Then let's prepare. The station's residents worked together, setting up shields and reinforcing power grids. Tomas felt proud of how everyone came together, united by a common goal. As the storm approached, the station shook gently. The powerful energy hit the shields, but thanks to the new device and careful preparation, Arden Prime held strong. Myra watched the monitors, her face calm but determined. After the storm passed, Tomas found Myra in the command center. You were incredible, Tomas said. Myra shook her head. It was everyone. The station is strong because of all of us. Tomas smiled. And because you lead us. Myra looked at him warmly. Leadership is not about being alone. It's about trust in others and in yourself. Tomas realized how much Myra had changed. She was still strong, but now she showed the heart behind the command. That night, Tomas looked out at the stars again. He thought about the journey they had all taken from fear and uncertainty to trust and hope. Arden Prime was no longer just a station in space. It was a family, ready to face whatever the future held. And Captain Myra, the woman who once froze at a simple compliment, was now the leader who inspired everyone to be their best. The calm after the storm felt like a fresh start for everyone on Arden Prime. The station had been tested, but it held strong. Captain Myra's leadership, Tomas's skills, and the unity of the people had saved the day. Yet, Tomas knew their journey was far from over. One morning, the peaceful hum of the station was interrupted by a new message. It came from the mysterious alien visitors who had first arrived. The message was simple but powerful. They wanted to stay on Arden Prime, to build a true partnership. Captain Myra read the message carefully in the command center. She looked up and smiled for the first time in weeks. This is what we have worked for, she said. Not just peace, but friendship. Tomas felt hope bloom inside him. The idea of different worlds coming together, not as enemies but as allies, was something he had never dared to imagine. In the days that followed, the station began a new chapter. The aliens shared knowledge, helping improve the station's technology. Tomas worked closely with them, learning and teaching. One afternoon, Myra invited Tomas to the observation deck. They stood side by side, looking out at the stars. Do you remember the first time we met? Myra asked. Tomas laughed softly. How could I forget? You were commanding the guards and froze when I said you looked wonderful. Myra smiled, a little shy. That moment changed everything for me. It reminded me that behind the uniform, I am still a person. And that kindness is a kind of strength. Tomas nodded. You showed all of us that. Myra turned to him, her eyes serious but warm. We will face challenges ahead. But now, we face them together. As they spoke, the station's alarm sounded, not a warning this time, but a signal of arrival. A new fleet of ships approached Arden Prime, ships from different worlds, drawn by the promise of peace. The station's residents prepared to welcome them. Guards stood ready, but there was no fear. There was excitement and hope. Captain Myra addressed everyone over the station's loudspeakers. Today, we begin a new era. An era where strength is not just in weapons or walls, but in unity and respect. Arden Prime is open to all who seek peace. Tomas watched as the first new ships docked. Aliens of many shapes and sizes stepped out, smiling and curious. He looked at Myra, who stood proud and calm. She was no longer just the commander, she was a symbol of what Arden Prime had become. As the new visitors and the station's people began to mingle, Tomas felt a deep sense of belonging. He thought about the journey, the fear, the battles, the moments of doubt, and the courage it took to keep going. Most of all, he thought about the power of simple kindness and trust. Later that evening, Tomas and Myra sat together, sharing stories with some of the new visitors. Myra looked at Tomas and said quietly, "You were right. Strength comes from kindness." Tomas smiled. "And from believing in each other." Under the endless stars, the station buzzed with life, friendship, and hope. Arden Prime was no longer just a station in space. It was a home for many. And a shining example that even in the vast unknown, humanity's best qualities, courage, kindness, and trust, could lead the way.